If you've been job hunting recently, you may have been wondering, why are hiring managers so picky? You've been applying to jobs and you've checked the boxes of what they're asking for, but you don't hear anything back. Or you do hear something back, you go into the interview process and you get that email that, they're going in a different direction. But why? You're perfectly qualified for the job. And I know this is frustrating for many job seekers. So today we're going to talk about hiring managers and why they're picky and what you can do about it. So let's talk about what are the factors that are causing the selectivity and how they're maybe interrelated to each other. Well, the first one is that there's just a larger talent pool out there right now. So you've got people that have been laid off, you have career changers in there, and you have also college grads who maybe are unemployed. So you add that on top of people who are just looking to change jobs because they don't like where they are. And hiring managers have a lot more people that they can select from because they have that. They're going to be more picky. The second reason is because hiring managers are economically cautious. That means that hiring, which has always been a risky venture, has heightened risk right now. People are worried about the economy. They are worried about profitability. And so the risk for every hire is a lot more now. Not only that, add in the cost of making the wrong hire. So you not only have the hiring team's costs for going through that process, you've got training costs. You also have costs that can be, the morale of your team. So there's lots and lots of costs that are involved when you make the wrong decision. So what these hiring managers are trying to do is decrease that risk. And so it's not enough to find somebody that is good enough to do the job. They want to find somebody who brings the lowest possible risk. And that is why often they are being so picky. They are putting candidates through really long interview processes because their choice is find the perfect person for the job or don't hire at all. Another reason that hiring teams are picky is because of skills-based hiring. Many organizations are going away from traditional degree requirements, and they're broadening up the pool of people who could be, fit for the role because they're not looking at the degrees, they're really looking at skills. Well, that means that people who have, skills developed through not traditional paths, they can be now put into the pool of people that could be eligible to, be hired for these jobs. And so that has increased the number of people that hiring managers might look at in terms of deciding who would be a good fit for the job. Again, when the numbers of people that are applying increase, that means they can be way pickier. If you like this content, I always appreciate hitting that like button and go ahead and subscribe to my channel. It really helps. The fourth thing is technology, and the ATS is actually forcing pickiness to some degree. So the applicant tracking system, which many organizations use to track candidates through the process, it also has a matching ability. It can rank a candidate so that a recruiter can look through them based upon what the applicant tracking system has decided are the best match candidates. Now, not every recruiter uses that, but many applicant tracking systems have this ability, and especially when you have a lot of applicants, we're talking hundreds, the recruiter may be looking for a shortcut to try to decide which of the ones to look at first. So, what does this mean for applicants? Well, it means that you need to be very careful about your resumes and the information you put in your resumes. You want to ensure that the applicant tracking system can read your information and it understands your value through the words that you use. It is being picky because it's just looking for information that the hiring team is looking for. So, because the applicant tracking system can be enabled to do this, that means that the recruiter is being picky. And as a result, the hiring manager is also being picky. And the fifth reason is hiring managers want the perfect candidate. And what does perfect mean? Well, oftentimes for them, it means they have done the exact same job before. They've used the same technology as their organization has used. They're going to need minimal time to get, onboarded and, doing the job. And the last thing is they want that person to seamlessly align with the team. That's a tall order. And if you don't fit one of those criteria, then sometimes they'll just go, you know what? I'll keep on looking. And unfortunately for you, you could do the job. You might even do it well, but because you're not the perfect candidate, they're not interested. All right, you can't control the hiring manager. Only person you can control is yourself. So let's go over 7 actions you can take that will help you deal with that picky hiring manager. So let's start first with the applicant tracking system because that's the first step in the process that you've got to get through. So here's a few things. Don't use graphics, text boxes, tables, anything that is going to be problematic for the applicant tracking system to understand your data. Some applicant tracking systems have problems with that because they just can't read it. So keep it simple. The second thing is your headings. Use simple ones again. Don't get crazy with headings. Education, experience. That's all you need to have. The third thing is make sure you're using the keywords that are in the job posting. That is what an applicant tracking system will look for. And so you want to make sure that it'll find the matches that are appropriate. And then lastly, just make everything very visible. You're not hiding anything. You are being very upfront with all your accomplishments, your skills, your expertise. Make it easy for the applicant tracking system and the recruiter to know that you are qualified. Strategy number 2 is focus on those jobs where you are a strong match. Now, a few years ago, I might have said, if you're a 65% match, 70% match, go ahead and apply. I would say in this market, you need to up that. Probably closer to 80 to 90% of the requirements you need to have in order to have a good shot of moving forward. I know. That means that there's going to be fewer opportunities. And it's going to mean that you really are going to have to tailor your resume for each job. So that's going to take additional time. But when you know that hiring teams are being picky, then you have to meet them where they are and show them that you have most of the qualifications, if not all, for the job. That will work in your favor. Strategy number 3 is invest in networking. Well, why? Well, because referrals are really a help for applicants because they come from a trusted person for that hiring team. That means that they'll give you a little bit more leeway if you don't have all the qualifications for the job, if you have somebody who can vouch for you. So invest in reconnecting with your colleagues. Try to make relationships in the companies that you're looking at. Do this, and one of the things that can happen here is that you can bypass the applicant tracking system and go straight to a hiring manager. And because you've got the seal of approval from somebody they know and trust, they may then want to talk to you directly, even if you don't have all the qualifications. Strategy number 4 is continuous improvement. So I talked about skills-based hiring. And so you want to focus on developing those skills. Now that can be taking a course. It could be developing a portfolio. It could be doing a stretch project. It may be getting a certification. And it could be doing volunteer work where you get to demonstrate a skill. That's really important to have on the resume because that is what they're looking for with skills-based hiring. So things like AI or data analysis or having the right digital tools, that can be a big plus for you. Strategy number 5 is consider alternative entry points. If you can't get in through the regular hiring process, think about other ways that you could get into an organization. Now, some of them might have contract roles that they will hire you for, and that could lead to full time. Or maybe they have temp to hire roles, or maybe they'll just take on some freelancers. You know, explore this as an option if you feel like you're being stymied because the hiring manager is being picky. In these roles, they may not require the same levels of qualifications, and that way you can demonstrate that you can do the job and they can bring you on full-time when they have a need. Strategy number 6 is strengthen your online presence. Now, hiring managers do go on LinkedIn and even other social media sites, often to see who's out there that they might be interested in. So make yourself a magnet for them by doing the things that you should do to make sure people who see your profile know you're qualified. So especially for LinkedIn, you want to make sure you complete your experience section, not just with the title of the job, but what you do in that job and your accomplishments. Make sure that you have a headline for your profile that says more than your title and your organization, but shows your value. For those of you who haven't looked at your profile picture, maybe it's really old, make sure you update it and have it nice and that you're full in that circle so that people can see your face and see who you are. Another thing is just be present on that social media site. So that means you don't have to post, but comment every once in a while, or just make sure that people know that you have expertise in that area. Do all those things and you can be found. And that's what you want the hiring manager to do, to know that they want to talk to you because you have something that they need. And strategy number 7 is especially for career changers. You really need to be strategic. This market is tough. So think about it. They're looking for people that check all the boxes. Generally, as a career changer, you won't do that. It may be that you're going to have to take a middle type of position before you can go to where you really want to, because that is what position where you'll check more of the boxes. Another thing is you have to be very strategic about your transferable skills and make sure on your resume that you're really telling the story of how those transferable skills in your old career match what you need in your new career. The other thing is, let's be honest, you might have to take a step back to take a step forward. So you need to think about whether you're willing to do that so that you can get your foot in the door in the career that you're looking for. And make sure you network. It is one thing that career changers absolutely have to do because you will get lost in the applicant tracking system. That's just the way it's going to be. So you need to do an end around and network with people who can refer you in to the hiring manager because they see that you can do the job and they can explain all of that to the hiring manager who might not necessarily get it just by looking at your resume. Look, I want to be honest with you. This job market is really challenging right now, but it is not a closed door. I know even very qualified people are getting rejected. And, that's really hard. But just remember, you can't control hiring managers. The only thing you can control is yourself. So follow my 7 strategies to increase the odds that a picky manager will find you to be the right person. It's going to take strategy, it's going to take effort, and you're going to have some patience. But the right job is out there for you. It just may take you a little bit more time to find it.